Now I'm in this version of myself. And then we'll start to feel like shit, and we'll start to feel gross, and we'll start to be like, oh man, I'm really not serving myself right now. And the pendulum will swing, and we'll swing back into this version of ourselves that's trying to strive to meet our potential. Hi friends, welcome back to the Brand Is You podcast with me, Robyn Savage. Okay, so I hope you're well, and I think today's conversation is probably going to hit home with a few of you. That would be my guess. This is a really sensitive and not sensitive in the way that it's going to trigger you, but sensitive in the sense that for me, it is highly relevant. It has been a really big sort of pain point for me on my journey of growth and building my personal brand and growing my business. So I want to talk to you about it, and I'll share a little bit of my own process and journey through this, and just sort of invite you to reflect and take some action where you feel it aligns with you and it really resonates with you. So, building brands, and specifically building personal brands, I talk about this quite a bit, but it is this ongoing journey, right? It's like constant evolution, constant growth, pivoting, refinement, new forms of expression as old forms of expression sort of die off and are surrendered, as these new forms of expression are brought to the surface. And it is my belief that this journey never ends. And, one of the myths, I think, about the entrepreneurial world or the entrepreneurial role is that there is an end point, right? It's like, we made it. I made it. I did the thing. But in truth, the journey never ends, because once you make it, there's another goal, or there's another something that you want to accomplish or achieve, another person that you want to help. So it really is my belief that this myth of making it has us infinitely forever chasing something that isn't real, right? There is no end point to this journey. There actually is no destination. And I want you to just take a minute to reflect on that for yourself and to see how that feels for you. Because, one of the things that a lot of my clients come to me looking for are answers, obviously, right? They want to know the strategies, they want to know the how, they want to know what actions to take and what to implement in order to help them make it. And in this process, as I provide the answers, as I offer the strategies and help with the integration and execution of said strategies, the realization sort of comes that, hey, now that we've done that, there's this other element of the brand that wants to be massaged. There's this other element of my work that wants to come to life. There's this other thing that's on my heart that wants to be shared with the world. And then we start working on that process, and we start strategizing it, and we start implementing and executing it. And so, a lot of entrepreneurs are looking for that destination, and beyond searching for the destination, they're really looking for those GPS points that can help them get to the destination faster, easier, right? And I think that it is one of our entrepreneurial flaws that we are in constant search of this destination, because if we don't accept fully that entrepreneurialism is a journey rather than a destination, then we are setting ourselves up for failure from the very beginning, because we're already looking to be done. We're already looking for a sense of completion. We're already looking to make it, right? But really allowing ourselves to accept from the very beginning that, hey, this is the journey of a lifetime. This is going to continue to happen for me, and it's going to continue to shapeshift, and it's going to continue to look different and feel different. And I accept that. We're setting ourselves up for a different type of success, saying, I'm in this for the long haul. Right? I'm in this for the long run. And one of the things that really helped me understand this and really accept it is knowing that My brand and my work in this world is a really huge part of who I am as a person, right? I am a writer. You guys should see me when I'm not in front of the camera, when I'm not sharing my life with you on Instagram or through these podcasts. I'm naturally a writing machine, right? I see the world through stories that can be shared. I pull out the lessons in every scenario. I'm constantly taking pictures and creating beauty and art in my life. That's naturally who I am. There is no retiring from who I am. There is no retiring from a way of being and a way of existing in my life, because it's actually at an elemental level who I am in this world. And because I've built a brand that allows me to channel who I am so effortlessly, I don't actually have a destination. There's nowhere for me to get, right? It's just a constant way of me getting to be, okay? Now, speaking of retirement, like, will I one day stop posting on Instagram? Probably, right? Will I stop selling offers? Probably. But will I continue to write books? Will I continue to post on a blog? Will I continue to offer advice and connect with a community and build, ideas and put things on paper with other people? Probably not. Like, I would be really surprised if there's ever a point in my life where I stop offering people my services in completion, because it's a part of who I am. The same way that you may be a knitter, the same way that you may be a photographer, the same way that you may be a alchemist of oils and botanicals, and like, you'll never stop doing those things because those things are what you love. So I want to erase the destination for a minute, okay? If we're not aiming for a specific destination, then what are we aiming for? And in my opinion, what we're aiming for is complete and total fulfillment and satisfaction, okay? Now, if that becomes the destination, complete and total fulfillment and satisfaction in our lives, in our work, then what does that look like? Who am I now if I'm not actually striving for a thing? And what do I have to do if I'm not actually looking to achieve one big goal? But who do I get to be on this journey of evolving myself and meeting this next version of myself to continually contribute to the infinite well of fulfillment and satisfaction that is available to me? Okay, how am I going to constantly live into my own potential? And this is where the conversation, I feel, gets really interesting. All right, so I have been on this complete journey for the last 10 years. I became an entrepreneur full-time 10 years ago, which is totally insane to say out loud, but I became an entrepreneur 10 years ago. I quit my waitressing job. I went all in on my wedding planning business, which was the first real business that I started, and I went all in. And ever since then, I've always had this sort of I want to say like twinkle in my eye, but I've always sort of had this notion or this ability to look ahead to see what's calling me towards it next. So I knew that wedding planning was never it for me. I knew that femme was never it for me. I knew that there was always something else that was calling me towards it. And a huge part of my evolution as an entrepreneur has been allowing myself to follow that call, right? Allowing myself to let go of one thing in order to create space for what's next. Now, I am a pretty high functioning human being, okay? I'm pretty productive. I'm really rooted in the same thing that a lot of us are. These conditions around doing, the conditions around productivity, the conditions around you're as valuable as the work you do in the world. And I've done a lot of healing around that. And I've really worked with myself in honoring my self-worth as just a human who takes up space on the planet. That makes me worthy. And I feel more fulfilled and more satisfied in myself when I am a contribution, when I am providing value to people in my community. That is what fulfills me, and that is what drives me. Now, what's happened to me through the years is that through my high functioning personality and through this productivity and my desire to build something, and succeed at it, right? Build something and succeed at it. I've created this really easy path for myself to get good at the things that I'm good at. I know how to make money online. I know how to build community. I know how to start a business from the ground up. I could do it in my sleep now. Like, that's how many times I've done it for myself, for others, and those things come really easily to me. Now, when I used to be on this journey to making it, I used to really strive for this end goal. Like, make 6 figures, make $1 million, build this business, build this community to this many people, create this, build this. And it really became very clear and evident to me that every time I crossed these things off the list, every time I hit the milestone and achieved the goal, there was still a longing and a yearning for more fulfillment, more satisfaction on a soul level, more peace, more ease, more natural expression and creation. So I actually stopped creating goals for about 3 years. I've actually just very recently, like within the past month, started to set really concrete goals for myself because goals weren't serving me for a while. Okay, so I focused more on internal fulfillment and satisfaction. I returned to my values as a person. I returned to the soul, the spirit, the why of my work, and I let goals just take a little break for a second, okay? Now, in that, I really witnessed a whole world of change within myself, but what I really noticed was that without specific goals, I stopped challenging myself. Without specific concrete goals to work towards and to check off the list, I stopped pushing my own edge. Now, I felt in my own experience that this was a really sort of like tricky, sensitive place to be, okay? Because what happened when I stopped setting goals and what happened when I stopped sort of pushing my own edge was that I fell into this really comfortable place of feeling and being average. Now, I don't like the word average, okay? I think that none of us are average. I think that we all have this set of DNA and these experiences and these stories and adventures and things that we've been through that can't actually qualify us as average. So I don't like the word average, but I'm going to use it through the rest of this podcast episode sort of as this word that defines a version of myself that is not my potential self, okay? So I really believe that we all have our average selves, the us that isn't trying to grow, the us that isn't trying to meet potential, and then we have this potential version of ourselves, the us that is in evolution, the us that is aware, the us that is mindful, the us that is really efforting to better ourselves, okay? So I found that without goals, I was in this pattern of average. I was in this really sustainable, sort of easy place where I could really easily achieve the things that I needed to achieve. And I wasn't going beyond that. Okay. So we could use an example that isn't business for a second. And we could say, this is not my personal example. This is just an example out in the world. But you could say like, yeah, my marriage is good. My relationship is good. Yeah, it's pretty average. Like we talk to each other. We don't really connect, but like we live in the same place. We do the things together or whatever, but yeah, our relationship is good. It's fine. Okay. Now that would be the average self. Okay. Now, if we look at the potential self and we look at the growth and the fulfillment and satisfaction that's available to us in a potential way, in a potential state, then all of a sudden we're starting to look at our relationship as an opportunity to receive more love, to build a deeper connection, to have more intimacy, to be more deeply rooted towards each other, to be working towards the same goals, to have constant conversation, connection points, you know? So we're starting to differentiate between, yeah, it's good, versus, oh my gosh, it is so delicious and it is so rich and it is so fulfilling and it is so yummy. Okay. So that is how I really started to see these two versions of myself. Like there's this average version of myself that's good and life is easy. And then there's this potential version of myself who has a world of possibility, who has a world of depth and moreness in the sense of fulfillment and satisfaction that she can't even imagine for herself, because she's over here in this average world just like doing the thing on a daily basis to get by and to whatever, just like stay put basically. So here's a journey that I've been on, okay? So I've been really identifying these two versions of myself, this average version and this potential version. And I've started to, I did start to recognize this pattern that I had where I would ride this pendulum, okay? So I would swing this pendulum from like, I would go all in on myself and all in on my vision and all in on my potential self. And then things would start getting really good and they would start feeling really good and results would start coming in. And I would be, working out every day, eating healthy, not drinking, showing up for my business, and things would start happening. And then I would get to this point and be like, okay, we're good enough. Great, we made progress and we did it and we're good. Now swing the pendulum back over to the average self who's like, okay, now I'm going to take it easy. I'm going to stop working out. I'm going to pick up the drink again and just accept it. I'm going to stop posting every day. I'm going to stop selling. I'm going to stop showing up because we're good. We're great, right? And if you've ever heard this analogy, and even from a non-religious standpoint, I think that you'll understand what this story means. But, people pray when they need something, but they stop praying when they don't need anything. And this is sort of the same situation I found myself in. Like, I'm going to do all the work when I want to get better, but then as soon as I get good, I'm going to stop doing the work. So I would go from average to potential, average to potential, average to potential. And we all fall into this trap from time to time, right? It's like we eat healthy for 3 weeks and then we have a hamburger and fries and then we're like, fuck it. I'll just have the Coke. I'll just have I'll just keep eating the fried potatoes and the, bag of chips and the popcorn and the candy and the this and that, because now I'm in this habit. Now I'm in this version of myself. And then we'll start to feel like shit and we'll start to feel gross and we'll start to be like, oh man, I'm really not serving myself right now. And the pendulum will swing and we'll swing back into this version of ourselves that's trying to strive to meet our potential. So we'll get back on the wagon. We'll work out. We'll post every day. We'll do the thing. Okay, you get it, right? So this pendulum was me forever, like a really long time. And maybe you can relate to this. Maybe you ride the pendulum like it's a swing set at the playground. You're just like, okay, back on the swing, back, like riding my way from this to that, this to that, this to that. I want to tell you that for me, this got really, really exhausting. I think for a couple of reasons, but when I really thought about it, the fatigue of it came from like the extreme of the experiences, like all the way in on this side and then all the way out and then all the way back in and then all the way out. And it started to really wear me down. And eventually it started to feel like I was sort of living into these two identities, like I am the me that grows and reaches and moves towards what I want. And then there's this totally other version, this totally other identity that's just like, fuck it, we're good. Like we don't need to do that today or we don't need to whatever. And they started to conflict with each other. They started to have this really toxic relationship where one would judge the other and one would say, go for it. And the other one would say, don't go for it. And it was like this angel versus devil on the shoulder that was like, who's going to win today? Which way is the pendulum going to swing today? And in this sort of ongoing relationship that I was trying to mediate between my potential self and my average self, the exhaustion just like really set in. And eventually I had to choose, like, okay, which version of yourself are you going to be? I had conversations with my husband about it. I talked to my best friends about it. I went to therapy about it, talked to my coach about it. I journaled like fucking books about it. Like, what's wrong with the average me? Nothing. Like I can really be this version of myself, and she is worthy and she is good. And there's nothing like really wrong with her. She's slightly destructive. There's slightly toxic patterns, but like we all have that, right? Like it's totally fine. I could be this average person. Okay. And in that conversation with myself, it didn't feel like my truth. Like owning my average identity fully and living that out as my story did not actually feel like me. The things I liked about my average self were that it was easy to be that version of me. It was comfortable to stay in that version of me. And everything on the surface seemed to be working. I've got the kids, the husband, the house, the bunny that runs around. I know how to make money. I've got a thriving business. I've got these things going on. Like it's not a bad place to be. But on the inside, there was this potential version of myself that felt really abandoned and really unseen and really neglected. And it got to the point where I couldn't ignore that anymore. So settling for my average self actually over time just became not an option, because in this relationship between my average self and potential self, the amount of friction it was creating in my system just became completely overwhelming. Like, who am I? It felt a lot like an identity crisis. Am I this person or am I this person? And it got to the point where I just had to choose. And because owning the average version of myself didn't feel like a true option for me, or a decision that was honoring my own highest self, I had to decide to go all in on my potential. Now, I've been on this journey of really owning my potential for probably about a year and a half, and there have been so many fluctuations. The pendulum has swung back and forth 100 times, back to my average self, back to my average self, back to my average self. And every single time the pendulum swings, I catch myself. Okay, there's your average self again. There's that habit again. There's that version of you again. There's you taking the easy route again. Okay, let's get back on track. Let's go rescue our potential self and go back out there, right? Let's try again. Let's keep going. Let's pick up where we started. And in owning this potential and really trying to live into this as my new norm, what I've really discovered is that doing the same small actions every single day to support the highest version of myself, repeating those actions day after day after day, beyond the point of feeling good into the point of feeling great, is what brings my potential to life, right? So where I used to work out for 3 weeks in a row and then not work out for 3 weeks, where I used to not post for 5 days and then post 3 posts a day for 2 weeks and then not post for 5 days, I'm actually starting to break the small actions down to take the same consistent actions every single day to allow myself to stay on the path of potential rather than swinging the pendulum from average to potential, average to potential, back and forth, back and forth. I'm doing these daily actions. I'm taking these daily actions to support the ongoing me that lives and breathes into her fulfillment and greatest satisfaction. And what I'm finding on this journey is a couple things that, a few that are kind of surprising. So first and foremost, it's boring, right? There's something really exciting and intoxicating about riding a pendulum. It's like being on a literal roller coaster, you're like up, 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 down. And you're like, this is so great. And then all of a sudden you're like going around a corner and you can't even keep up with yourself. And there's something really riveting about that. And I like that feeling of being alive. And I like that feeling of living on the edge, but it's not sustainable. And it's not getting me really ahead. It's kind of just like a roller coaster taking me around this track, right? High, low, high, low, high, low, high, low. Pendulum swing left, pendulum swing right. And so I decided to get off the roller coaster. And in getting off the roller coaster, I'm like just walking down a street. I'm walking from here to there constantly, and it's not as thrilling as riding a roller coaster. It's not as thrilling as the highs and lows. There's something, like I said, that is super intoxicating about riding that pendulum. And there's a sense of peace. There's a sense of purpose. There's a sense of really beautiful and fulfilling wholeness and groundedness that has come with getting off that roller coaster and walking towards my potential every single day. Okay. So that's been kind of shocking. Like, oh, I kind of miss the roller coaster. I kind of miss the chaos, Like, I like that. And how can I create a sense of adventure? How can I create a sense of aliveness in my life without riding the pendulum? So that became a question for me. Now, in relation to my brand and my business, you can imagine how huge of a role this shift has played for me because, we all create our own limitations in our brands and businesses. We all create our own glass ceilings, and it is only us who can smash those glass ceilings and move beyond our own limitations. It's only you that can do that, right? So for me, smashing down that limitation of really saying like, oh, this is good enough. Is it? Oh, you're doing enough. You're fine now. You can go back to eating hamburgers. You can go back to not working out. Your six-pack is back. Like, what? But wait a minute. What gets to exist for me beyond the average? What gets to exist for me beyond the good? Because beyond good is great. And beyond great is excellent. And beyond excellent is magnificent, out of this world, drool-worthy dream life state that I literally can't believe is my life. So what I'm trying to say to you is we've got to be willing to get out of average. We've got to be willing to get off the pendulum and commit to potential if we really want to meet our potential. And we can do that by creating a list of daily actions, a list of daily non-negotiables that we show up for every single day, even when they feel boring, even when we don't feel like it, even though we feel like we've got it all figured out. We continue to show up for those non-negotiables, and we continue to take those same daily actions every single day. And guess what? The six-pack turns into an eight-pack, and the 10,000 followers turns into 100,000 followers, and the impact goes beyond your hometown to your whole country, and then from your country to other people's countries, and from your home to their home, right? And we start to see our actions beyond average pay off to help us meet our potential. But that does not happen until we commit to small daily actions. And I don't mean once in a while, right? That's the trap. Because if I have a conversation with one of my clients, I'm like, okay, you're ready to take this seriously. You've invested. You're a one-to-one client. We're doing it. Can't wait. Tell me where you're at right now. I have a hard time with consistency. Is the number one thing that people tell me. I just can't be consistent, or I'll be consistent for a little bit of time and then I disappear again, or I turtle when life gets hard. Consistency. Okay. So here's what I want to offer you today. If you are someone who wants to meet your potential, if you are tired of riding the pendulum, first of all, I feel you. Okay. I also got tired of riding the pendulum. I also want to meet my potential. Okay. So my invitation for you is number one, get off the pendulum. Retire the swing, right? Stop yourself from going back into old habits and patterns, and instead get committed to moving forward from this day on towards your potential, okay? Now, it's really easy to overwhelm yourself. I remember for like 10 years, a decade, I always used to get these texts from my grandma because through university, I would set these like fitness goals for myself on January 1st, like signed up for the gym, got my yoga pass, running a marathon, doing the thing. And I would always just like regularly get this text from my grandma on January 1st. Don't overdo it at the gym. Don't run 20 miles and then put yourself out for a month. Right? She foresaw my demise, like we put these things on our plate and we decide we're going to meet our potential, and then we go all in a way that we cannot sustain. And then we get disheartened, and then we get discouraged, and we quit. So we put ourselves back on the pendulum. So what I want for you is to commit to your potential. Yeah, I'm meeting my potential, Rob. I'm retiring the swing. I'm putting average away in a closet, and I want to meet my potential. And I know you do. I know you do. And if you're resisting meeting your potential, then that means that you want it even more, right? So here we go. We're ready. We're going to meet our potential. I want you to commit to 3 daily non-negotiables. That's it. Okay? I'm going to move my body for 20 minutes. I'm going to eat healthy, and I'm going to meditate for 5 minutes. That's it. Those are the 3 things. Not I'm going to meditate for 2 hours. Not I'm going to move to an ashram in India. Not I'm going to embody God in every single second of the day. I'm never going to yell at my kids again. I'm never, ever going to be a jerk to anyone on the road. Like I'm going to be an angel. Like, no, because you know you're going to yell at your kids again. Let's be honest, right? You know you're going to eat a French fry one day. You know that. So don't set yourself up for failure. Instead, okay, and let's use a brand and business example. Instead, say, I am going to post every single day from Monday to Friday. I am going to show up in my Instagram stories every single day. And I'm going to post a sales link 4 days a week. Okay, or do it daily. I'm going to post a sales post, or I'm going to post a sales link every day. I'm going to post on Instagram every day. I'm going to show up in my Instagram stories every day. Those are my 3 daily non-negotiables. Write them down every single day and check off the boxes. Okay? Over time, you can add weekly non-negotiables and you can add monthly non-negotiables. Okay? I personally find that having 3 non-negotiables is a really good amount of required action for me to move forward. Okay? And the thing about making them non-negotiable is that you can't not do it. If you do what you say you're going to do, if you show up for yourself and keep the promise to yourself, then you are guaranteeing your future self results. If you say you're going to do something and you do not do it, then only you are to blame for not getting where you want to go. Right? Crow. So setting these 3 daily non-negotiables is going to move you forward in the direction of your potential day after day after day. And when you have those feelings of, I'm not doing enough, I haven't done enough, I'm not taking myself seriously. Well, when you look at your 3 daily non-negotiables and they're all checked off day after day after day, you get to create evidence for yourself that you are doing it. You are showing up. And that evidence builds momentum. That evidence becomes the foundation for you and your potential self to continue to move forward, because you have this new narrative that says, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm taking the actions. I'm moving forward every single day. I'm showing up for it. Now, here's what happens in my world with my clients when finally they start doing the thing to get them the results that they want. Only when they do the thing consistently over time, and I usually tell my clients, like, do this for 30 days and then we'll talk about it again. Okay, do this every single day for 30 days and then we'll talk about how to refine it. Then we'll talk about what's not working. Then we'll pivot. Then we'll start again. But until you've done something for at least 30 days, we cannot tell what's wrong with it. We cannot tell what needs to pivot or change or adjust, because results over time, data collected over time, over that 30-day period, that's what gives us the information. If you try something once and it doesn't work, you have not collected enough information to make an informed decision about whether or not that is the right or wrong thing for your business, for your audience, for your clients, for you, for your life. Okay, you have got to be willing to commit to something for long enough to have a proper sample of whether or not that thing is working, or to identify what needs to pivot and adjust and be refined to make it better. Okay, same thing as running. Okay? If you never go for the jog, then we cannot explain, we cannot determine how you could run better, right? You've got to go for the run so that you can see how your body moves, so that you can see what your endurance is, so that you can see how you're landing your feet on the pavement or which muscles need to be developed. But until you go for the run, you're just not running, right? You're back in your average. So when clients come to my world, this is what we do, right? Set the non-negotiables, do the non-negotiables, accountability, action, momentum, progress, okay? Progress towards potential. And then after 30 days, or more desirably in my world, a quarter, so 3 months, we commit to something. And then we take that test sample and we say, okay, now what's not working? Now what needs to be refined? But we take these actions every single day to continue to move the needle forward. Because what I see a lot of you do when left to your own devices without a mentor or without a coach or without the accountability and progress is this: non-negotiables, doing the work, moving forward, taking a break. Non-negotiables, taking the action, moving forward, pausing. Non-negotiables, going all in, driving myself right into the ground, and falling back into average. So it's a lot of this, ding, 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 right? And that is why you get tired. And that is why you are still landing back in the same place, because you are allowing yourself to move forward and then come back, and move forward and then come back. Instead, what I want you to try is progress, forward, momentum through daily non-negotiable action every single day, day after day after day. Okay? Track this. Write it down. See the check marks. Show up for yourself. Do the thing that you say you're going to do so that you can look back at the results and actually see what's working or what isn't working. This is how you refine. Right? This is how you get better. You do the thing and then you do it again and then you do it again. And you try something different and then you readjust and then you readjust. And that's how we build. That's how we get better. Okay? We practice. And I want you to treat your personal brand and business like a practice. Okay? 3 daily non-negotiables. 3 daily non-negotiables that are going to move you from your average self to your potential self so that you can stop riding the pendulum. Okay? How does that feel for you? I don't know. For me, this has been a really big game changer, right? It was a big decision for me to decide, like, once and for all, that I didn't want to be my average self. I really didn't want to own that identity. Okay? I really wanted to live into my full potential self. And now I'm on that journey, and I want to invite you on that journey too. Okay? If you want support with that, if you need the accountability, if check-ins and collaboration and co-creation and movement forward towards your goals is something that you know will support your potential self, then work with me. Okay, come into one of my Pay What You Can workshops. Come into a one-to-one container where I can hold you and we can collaborate and co-create and make momentum together, right? But don't try and do this alone if doing it alone is not working for you. Okay, realize where you need the support. Realize where you need the help and go invest in that. Invest in the support that you need to really lean into your potential self. I'm always here for you, and I love you so much. I hope that this podcast episode sort of rocked your boat a bit. You know, I hope that this podcast episode makes you think. I hope that this podcast episode inspires you to make a decision for yourself to lean into your potential, because I know that it's available for you. If it's available for me, it's available for you, because I will tell you, I am a very messy human. I have made more mistakes than anyone I know. So many seasons of bad decisions and regret and shit. And here I am. Okay? And so I know from one woman to another, from one human being, from one vision to another vision, I know that this is possible for you. And I'm really here to support you as you make the decision to lean into your potential. I love you so much. Thank you for joining me on the Brand Is You podcast. I really hope that you find what you need here. If there is ever anything that you would like to hear me speak about, if there's a topic that's on your heart, if there's a burning question that you have, submit it. Email us, team@robynsavage.com, and send us your question. Let me know what you'd like to hear on the podcast so that I can talk to you, so that I can serve you here inside this space. All right? I love you so much. And go out there, enjoy your life, take the steps, and commit to those non-negotiables. I promise that you cannot regret committing to yourself. All right? Love you.